Live in Western Oregon, this is NBC 16 News at 5:30.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for NBC 16 at 5:30. I'm Alan Matthews. As rallies for racial justice and police reform continue in Eugene, the local Chamber of Commerce is becoming an ally. NBC 16's Cassandra Gutierrez now joins us live in the studio. So Cassandra, the Chamber is trying to help people better understand how to promote diversity in our community.
Alan, the Commerce is working on shared resources towards changing the narrative around racism on a local scale. More specifically, they are focusing on providing educational opportunities for business owners. We talked to one business who has already been implementing diversity in the workspace.
The unrest in our community is following the unrest in our country, and the Chamber, as a community leader, we can't ignore the fact that there's a reason for this unrest.
Eugene Chamber President Brittany Quickwarner says the Chamber is taking steps internally towards being more inclusive since protests for justice began. One local minority-owned business says,
I would just ask that it would speak to people's hearts more than, people are quick to get angry and quick to judge and you should do this and you should do that. I think it's an issue that obviously needs some attention, and rather than turning your heart away from it, open your heart.
Jenkins says he has opened his heart and has welcomed diverse employees since he opened Top Class Auto Salon in 2014.
We get all of them, from in and out of prison to, just struggling with the COVID, losing employment. Really just all walks of whatever may happen in life.
The Chamber is also opening their hearts to a better future.
We're here to educate, we're here to listen and learn. We have a platform and I think we have an opportunity to use it for good. And it doesn't mean that, we're gonna suggest or recommend, X, Y, and Z policy, but to help people understand why those things are being recommended.
Quickwarner says one way to support minority-owned business is by shopping at them long-term, supporting equality and diversity locally and nationwide.
To better help the community, the Eugene Chamber of Commerce is planning to host a series where speakers can discuss the unrest in the nation and talk about harder issues, including racism and diversity at the workspace.
All right, thank you so much, Cassandra. Oregon Congressman Peter DeFazio is co-sponsoring major police reform legislation in D.C., along with Senators Jeff Merkley and Ron Wyden. He voiced his support today of the proposed Justice in Policing Act of 2020. The legislation would put a ban on chokeholds and no-knock warrants nationwide. It would also require federal officers to wear body cameras and restrict existing federal funding to only be used for local police body cameras. The congressman also says community-based policing programs should expand nationwide.
We've talked about community policing for years, and Cahoots is an example. It's not policing, it's community intervention with people who are skilled at dealing with people with mental illness and drug overdoses.
DeFazio also says he's proud of residents in Lane County for their peaceful protesting to make change. He says the bill would also restore some Obama-era programs as well as incentives for investigating police violence independently. It would also form a national misconduct registry. You can read all that information on our website at NBC16.com. The city of Corvallis experiencing an increase in home burglaries and car break-ins this spring. NBC 16's Alex Hassenstab spoke with police on how to protect your property and why it's a chronic problem.
In Corvallis, property crimes in the months of March, April, and May are showing a significant increase compared to last year.
We've actually seen a 68% increase in burglaries between the two time periods this year and last year.
Lieutenant Joel Goodwin with the Corvallis Police Department says there's also been a nearly 50% increase in car break-ins.
We've had over 200 cars broken into in that time period this year.
Police say most of the home burglaries were not forced entry, meaning people were breaking in through unlocked doors and windows.
But we always need to remember to keep those best practices of locking doors, keeping windows closed when we're away. Most burglaries occur when people aren't at home.
Goodwin says not to keep items in your car, saying some car prowlers are simply checking for unlocked doors, while others will break in if they see something valuable.
Even if it's an empty bag, something that doesn't mean anything to you, it could mean several $100s in damage to a window or a lock.
At this time, police say it's unclear if the trend is related to the pandemic and stay-at-home order. But Lieutenant Goodwin says the bulk of these crimes are usually committed by a few individuals.
And they may get into 4, 5, 6 cars in one night. You know, if we have a few car prowlers that are very prolific and we are able to arrest them and get them lodged at the jail, obviously those would go down in occurrence.
But while burglary is a felony, breaking into a car can be a misdemeanor.
Unfortunately, because it's a misdemeanor, it's not necessarily uncommon that we would have to issue them a citation rather than being able to take them to the jail.
While stats for June aren't available yet, Goodwin says they're working to get them down.
We've obviously made some changes and adjustments in the way we're patrolling and being proactive to try to deter this.
Hoping summer crime stats look better than spring. I'm Alex Hossenstaub reporting.
Human remains of an unknown male have been found at a duplex in northeast Salem. Marion County Sheriff's Office says they received a call regarding a foul odor around where the caller lived. Investigators are looking into the case and trying to identify the body. The cause of death has not been determined. An autopsy is scheduled on Friday. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Marion County Sheriff's Office. While we take our first look at weather, Chief Meteorologist Josh Cozart is standing by. I think two things people have noticed the last couple of days: humidity levels a little higher and those allergies kicking in a bit more.
Yeah, so we definitely have the pollen that's floating around in the air along with a lot more of those water molecules, but the pollen counts for grass back up to high levels 56, moderates for trees at 15, likely going to be slightly on the higher side as we progress through the next several days, but Saturday the rain kind of puts a damper on that. But we did manage to warm up into the 70s through the southern Willamette Valley, 80 Umpqua Valley, and now along the coast on the mild side into the 60s. But those muggy conditions still holding with us before a cold front takes aim at our area, with about nearly 60% humidity through the valleys, along the coast even higher near the 80% mark. Temperatures sliding back into the low 70s at this hour with a few slivers of sunshine poking through, and radar and satellite showing that the cloud coverage really in abundance, but we're talking widespread rain. I'll have all those details in my full forecast in just a few.
All right, thanks a lot, Josh. Well, the debate over whether to have school resource officers at 4J schools is heating up. There are now 2 petitions on change.org concerning the future of those officers. One petition aims to remove police officers from the school district altogether. The petition says that it comes in light of the protest against police brutality. The second petition aims to keep Eugene police and their services with the school district. The 4J district says a discussion about the school resource officer contract is expected to be on the school board's agenda for the June 17th meeting. Neither creator of the petitions were available for comment, and Eugene Police declined to comment. Well, if you've ever wanted to get a coronavirus antibody test but were unsure whether or not you needed one, well, now is the time to look into it. NBC 16's Stephanie Rothman visited a local urgent care and is now live in the studio. So, Stephanie, I understand you're one of those that got a test.
I did. Right here is the mark where it left. It's been a long time in the making, as I'm sure it's been for many people. In early March, I showed symptoms after visiting home in New York. My mother there later tested positive, but I never got the chance to know myself. So, well, right now, I got mine done so you can figure out whether or not you want to get tested and if it's right for you.
This is uncharted territory for sure.
As the world works towards a coronavirus vaccine, many people are now for the first time able to get tested.
Things have changed what we do know, so what we knew 2 weeks ago may not be as accurate as what we know today.
With more people being tested for the virus and its antibodies, the more information becomes available.
Now we're fortunately at a point where we can test, and we want to encourage anyone who has any symptoms to please present to your healthcare professional.
Qualifying for an antibody test depends on 3 factors: whether or not you had symptoms, were exposed to someone who tested positive, and the rate of coronavirus cases where you live.
If you fit all the criteria to get an antibody test, you're going to be doing that by getting your blood drawn. So we're going to be doing that now. Little poke, 1, 2, 3.
There is no other test, if you will, that's available to help give them that information. It's not perfect information, but it does increase the likelihood that yes, it actually was or wasn't COVID.
If you test positive for antibodies, the results are simply for you to know and help researchers learn more about the virus.
So there's all sorts of ways in how we're learning how to use antibody testing, and for you as an individual, it's one dot in time.
Understanding the past so we can figure out what needs to be done to help patients in the future.
And there are other tests that can help you better understand your relationship or not with COVID-19. The rapid antigen and PCR tests are the ones you've been seeing most done. They're by nasal swabs. They tell you whether or not you currently have the virus, so it's different than the antibodies. Antigen results will come back in 15 minutes, while the PCR comes back in a couple of days. My antibody test results will come back in 4 to 5 days, and we'll bring you more information then. Alan?
All right, thanks a lot, Stephanie. Well, the Shutter Creek Correctional Institution in North Bend is now coronavirus free. The first case at the facility was confirmed on April 9th. Shutter Creek had a total of 25 positive results from adults in custody, 2 positive staff members and 1 presumptive staff member. It's been more than 28 days since the last known case. The last positive case was May 3rd for inmates and May 8th for a presumptive staff member. That time frame has allowed health officials to consider the facility resolved of the virus.
Now that we've gone over a month without any cases, what kind of things can we open up again to allow those adults in custody to go back to work on site at the institution, to be able to move some of the incentive moves that we would normally offer to them?
As of now, 22 of the inmates have recovered. The other 3 were released, so their status is unknown. Of the staff members, 2 have recovered and 1 is still out. Martin says the outbreak was kept to 1 unit. Tomorrow, the facility will be moved to a Tier 1 institution on the Department of Corrections coronavirus tier status. Well, statewide, this is where the coronavirus numbers stand. The Oregon Health Authority reporting 178 new confirmed and presumptive cases and 2 more deaths. That totals now 171. On your screen, you can find the total number of cases reported since the start of the pandemic on your screen. Lane County Public Health reports a total of 84 cases. Health officials say 82 are positive cases and 2 are presumptive cases. So far, there are only 7 active cases. Those people are recovering at home. No one is hospitalized. Well, coming up on your only local news at 5:30, fire season is set to start in Douglas County. That'll be on June 15th. What restrictions DFPA want you to make sure you know about.